Cast your mind back. The year is 1988. The Red Army has just withdrawn from Afghanistan. Eddie Murphy is about to release his masterpiece movie Coming to America, and Little Ermine is celebrating his first birthday. But more importantly, the FIA has finally decided it's time to stop its F1 drivers randomly exploding on the racetrack. Cue some hefty regulation changes to improve safety. Maximum turbo boost pressure was reduced from 4 bar to 2.5 bar, and the onboard fuel limit was reduced to 150 liters, with in-race refueling being banned, and hence reducing the chances of spontaneous combustion when your race engineer casually puffs on a dart in the pits while highly pressurized rocket-grade fuel is being force blasted into your scorching hot race car. This would also be the last year for turbocharged engines in Formula 1 until their eventual return in the mid-2010s. It also led to the birth of one of the most iconic and dominant Formula 1 cars in history, the McLaren MP4-4, winning a whopping 15 of 16 Grand Prix that year, divided among race legends Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. Senna would go on to win the Drivers' Championship that year, and McLaren the Constructors. As luck would have it, this very car has just made its way into Gran Turismo 7 as part of Update 1.20, setting you back a respectable 8 million credits. If you have the spare dosh on hand to pick it up from the Legend dealership, you can rest assured to be graced with one of the most unique and memorable racing experiences in the game. Pushing a cool 675 brake horsepower at only 540 kilos of weight, this car comfortably exceeds the 1-to-1 power-to-weight ratio. What's truly insane, however, is that all of this is being funneled through a manual 6-speed gearbox. Crossing paths with this channel, that can only mean one thing: the Nordschleife. What you're about to witness is the single most difficult, physically and mentally demanding lap I've ever been cajoled into doing on this legendary circuit. Managing this level of power to weight is one thing, but attempting to do it while tap dancing on the pedals with a manual shifter on the hardest racetrack in the world is something entirely different. Moreover, the big question is whether this Formula 1 can actually beat the time set by our approximation of Porsche's 919 Tribute hypercar some months ago. That set a time of 5 minutes and 18 seconds. If any car can do it, it's got to be this classic Formula 1. Anyway, enough scene setting. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for future self-inflicted Nordschleife punishments, and let's see what sort of time this classic beauty can get us. A great man once said, if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. It's lucky for us that our opponent on this lap is Mother Nature herself, meaning that it's just one gigantic gap to go for as we go around the Sabine Schmitz curve for the first time. This is going to be a full send. Shifting manually in a late 80s turbocharged Formula 1 car, flat out through here, about to enter Heusinkveld. We know that this is going to be insane in 6th gear. Insane downshifting, trying to hook a tire onto the curbstone to get a bit of a shortcut, get the car pulled in as the curb kind of bounces us out. We're definitely running a fairly low ride height as we kind of spark and bounce around all over the place. You can see why these cars used to spark everywhere back in the day as you blast on towards Flugplatz for the first time. I'm taking a guess and saying this is going to be completely flat as we just turn the wheel, hook it in, double apex. Easy, not a problem whatsoever in this classic, unbelievable automobile. And what time will we get? Can we beat the 919 Tribute's time of a low 5 minutes as we go flat out 335 k's over Schwedenkreuz into Arenberg, braking hard down to 3rd. This is taking so much of my attention. It is a ballet performed at 330 kilometers per hour as we go again up to 6th gear, flat out towards, I was going to say Flugplatz, towards the foxhole. My brain's already not working. As we lift, getting out into out-and-out force, massive brake zone after a lift. It's so hard to coordinate your body to do all this correctly. We managed to hit the apexes, mount the inside curve, shortcut things a little bit, no spinning out at low speed, and that's the great thing because it's so easy to spin out at low speed in this car before the aero kicks in. We salute the Rebel tree, thanks Jimmer. A little bit, about 30% lift through there, massive downshift towards 3rd as we enter Sector 2 now. The lines are as we know them, but the pedal work is so different. I'm having to basically use the shifting and pedal work that I'm used to from way older manual driven cars on a car that has a balance of performance that's better than most of the modern hypercar machines I've driven through here. The slowest corner on the track now. Barely enough time to narrate the lap with how quickly it's carving up this legendary circuit. We're already halfway through Sector 2, 2 minutes and 7 seconds. We go down through the entry point, The second entry point onto the track, nice and easy, brake into third gear. There are a lot of sections where we kind of bounce off the rev limiter instead because it's so much quicker than shifting up to fourth for a very quick period of time. It's so easy to miss shift. Gran Turismo 7 is so brutal to clutch work in this as we shift down to third, nice and easy, up in the longest climbing section of the track. Now this car is going to carve this up like nobody's business. We'll be hitting top speed in no time. Most cars do struggle through here. This is a place where it really kind of taps out a little bit. But we're in 6th gear already. Top gear, 320, 325, comfortably up to 330. There we go. Flat out through there. Unbelievable. As we bounce off the inside curb, I'm having to kind of... Whoa, that wasn't perfect. I definitely lost a couple of tenths through there as we downshift rapidly. The rate of deceleration in this car is crazy, and I'm trying to basically lock in every gear to get maximum engine braking. I'm not trying to go from 6th to 4th, down to 2nd. As we get into the carousel for the first time, nice and neat in this car, no bottoming out. I thought I would have ripped up the underside of the car, but no such bad luck as we head into Sector 3 of the track for the first time, all flat out through here. It's going to require some insane footwork and coordination. This is really one of the hardest parts of the track. Into third, keeping it nice and tight through there. The inside curbs can be brutal through here. If you hook it in, accelerate too much, they can hook you in and just spin you right out. So much. There's such a cognitive load on this part of the circuit. As we get our very first misshift, luckily during a deceleration zone, so it shouldn't cost us more than maybe a tenth or two. I'm so fortunate it happened right here. I was always going to get a misshift. It's so difficult to drive this car. As we get to the 4-minute mark, what do you think? Do we have it in us? Can we beat the 5-minute 18 time set by the 919 Tribute? That would be a hell of an attempt. So far, I'm reasonably happy with this lap. Minimal mistakes, I mean, by my standards, and it's taken so many attempts to get through. As we stay in 5th there, I think downshifting down to 4th in midair may have actually been the better play there. As we shift up to 6th in midair, I've worked out my zones, because you have to let off the accelerator to manually shift in this crazy car. You have to pick your moments, and generally, if you're not going to have tires in contact with the ground, we downshift to 5th, hook it in. The weight of aerodynamics, amazing. The only car that probably doesn't understeer through the second part of that corner, going into the mini carousel, nice and composed, no rears lighting up on the exit. So far, a fairly impressive lap by my standards at least, as we wrap it around flat out onto Dirtinger, who are one of the few cars that can actually do that. Wow. What's to say? It may look relatively easy, it may look relatively composed when you watch this lap, but this has actually taken an insane amount of attempts to get down to this level of coordination. And more than anything, Gran Turismo 7 is absolutely brutal to manual shifting. If you mismanage a clutch even a little bit, it's a misshift and it's game over. As we're going at an amazing 334 kilometers per hour in the last major braking zone on the track, just downshifting heel and toe like mad, using the apex of every bit of driving skill I've attained over the last few years, trying to hit that last apex, just a slight miss. We've missed the 919 tribute time, but 5:36.5. What an insane time. And that's with a casual misshift and a couple missed apexes. This beauty at least had a 5:35 in her with me at the helm, and probably a few less seconds if driven by someone with actual skill. It's hard to imagine what the experience of driving these cars in real life would have been like with the addition of G-forces and real-world danger in the mix. I can comfortably say I'm happy I didn't have to find out, and we have the brave pioneers of yesteryear to have blazed the trail for us instead. Why not pick this car up for yourself and give it a shot? It's sure to create a memorable experience, if nothing else. Let me know in the comments what other hot laps you want to see in the future, and consider grabbing some of the awesome gear I use for this drive using the links in the description to help support the channel. Subscribe to get notified of future video releases, and until the next time, I'll see you later.